And then I remember the time that Pam and I vacationed up in New Hampshire in Franconia Notch. And there was a huge precipice. I don't know how high, maybe a couple thousand feet. And jutting out from it, if you stood at a certain angle, was the Great Stone Face, it was called. And it resembled the profile of a man. Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote a story about that. Anyway, we decided to climb up over this mountain. And it was in the nice weather, nice day. And so we took the hiking trail, and we came to a place where there was a series of rungs dug into the mountain inside, and we had to climb it. It was like a ladder. And I'll never forget poor Pammy. Her legs were shorter, and she had a real struggle putting one leg, one foot above the other, but we managed to get her up there.
It's because it was way up
It was
high.
way high. She had really...
Way
she really had a stretch. And we got to the top, and we walked over that, and had such fun. A couple of years ago, the whole thing crumbled and collapsed, and it's no longer there. But we can say that we climbed up and over it before it fell down. So those are, you know, some memories of things that, and like the rodeo we saw by sheer coincidence out in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We were on a trip out to the Rocky Mountains in that year, and we came to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they were right in the middle of this week-long festival, and they had this mile-long parade, and parts of it are on the DVD of vacation films. I forget which year. And we saw a real first-class rodeo out there. And the time we were out Mount Rainier, and then we came down along the Oregon coast, and Portland was celebrating its 100th or 150th anniversary, I forget which. And they had the state fairgrounds, and they had a Wild West town. And this was the year before John Kennedy was nominated for the presidency. And of course, the year before he was elected. And they announced that the man who had just recently announced his candidacy for the presidency of the United States was on the train that was going through the Wild West town, and to have a movie of him being held up at gunpoint by the gunmen. Of course, it was all in fun, and have a picture of him coming out of the train with his hands up in the air. And that's experiences like that are irreplaceable, and that's the kind of thing that it's when the person gets older and can't do traveling anymore, you sit back and you say, oh, I'm so glad we did those things when we could, because the time comes all too rapidly when you suddenly realize, hey, I can't do those things anymore. And believe me, at least from my experience, it comes on awful fast. In Yellowstone National Park, you'll see it in your movies, Terry, where we were out there at we were visiting a campground with picnic tables, and I had my little 8mm motion picture with us, and here was a couple standing at their picnic table, and a bear was on the table gobbling up all their picnic lunch, and I have a movie of that. That's in one of the vacation films. And another time, early in the morning, before things opened up, out at the restaurant at Old Faithful Geyser, we were there for some reason before breakfast and before the restaurant opened up, and this bear came along, and there was a big old-fashioned mailbox by the front door, and we have a movie of him standing on his two hind legs looking into the mailbox, thinking it might be a garbage can. So now you hardly see any bears at all. You can spend 3 days in Yellowstone Park and never see a bear because they've all been taken into the interior. So opportunities pass. It's interesting, it just goes around and around the old island.